and today I'm joined by a really special guest. He's basically like my unofficial mentor because I listen to this guy's podcast every single day. I'm joined by Andrew Ferebee, the host of Knowledge for Men, three times Amazon bestseller, and like one of the up and comers in the men's personal development space. What's going on, Andrew?
How's it going, Mike? Good to be here.
Of course, dude. So, before the call, we were just catching up, and for the records, I just want to say I'm super proud of you, man. I met you when you were just starting the Knowledge for Men podcast, and like, look how far you've gotten. A 6-7 figure business, and beyond.
It's a mid 6-figure business, but yeah, I'm driving close to the 7-figure. But yeah, I remember when we met. I was lost. I'm not sure where you were at in your business, but I was absolutely lost trying to figure out what the hell, how do I do this? I had some like purpose around what I was doing, but I didn't know what direction I was going to go in. And yeah, just through consistency, taking action, taking a lot of risk, and it's been quite a ride.
That's great, man. So, I brought you in this call today specifically to ask you about, like why passion is so important to improve your social confidence, right? But before we jump into that, for everyone tuned in who's hearing about you for the first time or is not familiar with the Knowledge for Men brand, just give us a quick snippet, tell us your story on how you got started.
Yeah, so let's just the quick short version. It's June 2013. Actually, let me go back to April 2013. I just went through a serious breakup with a girl I was extremely passionate about. Thought this was gonna be the one for me, and then it didn't work out after several years, and then boom, it like ended my life. I was like on the floor in tears. I couldn't imagine my life getting any better. I was at a rock bottom, and I was in such a low point that I figured like I hated where I was at my life. Like, I hated my job. I had just lost the love of my life at the time. I had graduated college, and like most of my friends had just gone in different directions. And so I felt alone for the first time. Like, I thought I did everything right, meaning I got good grades. I was a leader on campus. I got a good paying job after college. I had a really attractive girlfriend, really cool girl. And I thought I did everything right. And then it all came crashing down in 2013. And I lost the girl, quit my job, and went on just an adventure. Where really, you were like kind of a couple months later. Like after a couple months later, I met you at a marketing business event, and I just started attending events all around the country. Started spending all my money on coaching, on books, listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks. I would drive around all around San Diego and go to the library because the libraries would sell books for a quarter or 50 cents. And I noticed that that's all the books behind me. Those are like literally most of those are from the library that I bought for a quarter or 50 cents. And they were all self-help books. I found relationship books. It was like all the things that people want, like that they gave up on. It was like business, health, relationships, like dating. And I was like, this is a gold mine. And I would literally walk in and walk out with boxes of books for under $5 or $10. And I just started devouring all of these books. And then I started writing, and that's what really started the Knowledge for Men and the Knowledge for Men blog. I started writing about this journey of me traveling the country, going to events, what I was learning, how I was transforming, and the blog started taking off. And I was just doing it for myself, like really trying to help myself overcome the breakup and the pain, and just really try and find more direction in my life. And then through the blog getting popular, I ended up running out of things to say because I was just I was young at the time. Like I had said everything I could say. And so that's when I started the Knowledge for Men podcast, which is what I still do today. And I interview two people such as like New York Times bestselling authors or celebrities or NFL football players or UFC fighters and just a ton of, incredible people. And I capture their story and kind of their hero's journey and then share the lessons on the podcast so that men can learn from other men and grow and step up and stop settling and rise above mediocrity. And fast forward 3 years later, I've written 3 books. My podcast has millions of downloads. I do live events here in San Diego. I have online courses. I mean, I guess I got the whole shebang now. I've coached hundreds of men, and I don't like to lead because earlier I led with like, oh, it's a mid 6-figure business. I like to lead with the amount of impact I've made. But I think because I've made such an impact so far, it's allowed me to make a good living doing what I like to do and what I'm really passionate about doing.
That's awesome, man. Like, dude, in a short amount of time, like three years, man. I still remember 2013. Holy crap, that's crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
almost 3 years exactly from today.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you doing as a job, like before you quit and started your own thing?
I was a retail manager, so you've heard of the company, whatever. I don't want to get into the name of the company, but it's a major company, just a general retailer. But I was the manager of the store, so I had about 80 employees, and it did about $70 million in revenue a year, and it was a massive responsibility. But I hated every day. Like I used to drive to work and purposely drive 45 miles an hour because I lived so close to work that I wanted to slow it down because I didn't want to get there so quick. And I
Wow.
remember like I'd park my car and look at the store and I'd be like, oh my gosh, here we go. And I'd walk in the morning when it's like the sun's kind of just coming out, and then I'd walk out when it's pitch black. And it was just, I was in zombie mode, and the pay just wasn't, it was paying well, but it just wasn't worth it for me.
Totally. So now that you've discovered your passion and like you're in alignment with exactly what you want to do, with your life, walk me through how that's affected your personal, romantic, and professional life now that you're in alignment with your passions.
Yeah, I think when I was in college or even a little bit post college, the people I surrounded myself were literally just that, the people that were around me. So if someone lived near me, I would end up becoming friends with them. If there was a girl that was attractive and I kept running into her, that would just be, I'd probably end up dating her. And I had this view of like, if we think about like who we actually spend our time with, it's usually people that we were just literally in close proximity to. Now, and that doesn't even take into account like, do you have similar values? Are you guys on the same page? Are you guys both moving forward in life? And the truth is you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Like that quote changed my life. Like your income, your happiness, your health, what you eat, the conversations you're having, the amount you're drinking, if you do drugs or don't do drugs, where you're attending like social events, all that stuff is dictated by who you surround yourself with. And so when I started doing, like, this wasn't the goal, like, by the way, like I wasn't like, I'm going to do knowledge for men so I can improve my social life. But it was kind of like a byproduct that my social life started just drastically improving, and so did my dating life, because I was communicating and surrounding myself with people who were on the same page. So, but when I stepped into what I fully want to do, then it allowed others to see me in my true light, and other people who I even knew, like in my past, like years ago, were like starting to reach out to me. Or when I go to events and I share with people what I do, I detract those who aren't interested, and I attract the people who are interested in the type of work that I do, which is being an influencer for men. And it's not like I only attract influencers for men, but people who are like, oh, I love what you're doing. Like the world needs that, and they support the work that I do. And therefore, like, it's a relationship based off similar values, not a relationship based off of proximity, which is how I believe most relationships are. It's just like, because you live next to each other, you're going to end up being friends. You're the similar age. And so, like, for example, there's a guy, he's pretty popular. His name's Ty Lopez. Like, I got invited to one of his parties in Beverly Hills, and it was like this huge $20 million mansion. Everyone there was some sort of influencer, meaning they have massive followings on social media, YouTube, or they're podcasters, or they're very successful businessmen. And I got invited to that because of what I do, because of the work that I do, and that it matters. And so I go there and I just share with people what I do. I don't have to put on this fake face or this fake mask. I just get to share what I do and what I'm passionate about. And people there, like, I started attracting the right people, start developing friendships, the right women. I'm getting numbers. I'm going home. I'm leaving with women. I'm single now, by the way. So if you're like, oh, I thought he had a girlfriend.
Oh no, what happened?
And so, like, I've had the craziest experiences. Like, I've been on yachts with very successful businessmen. I've been like in the highest, like, high level nightclubs in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Not to say that's the goal, but just, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at in my life. Single, I'm just being more social. It's opened up doors that I just never thought would be opened. because I wasn't fully living in alignment to what mattered to me. And so therefore I was always this frustrated man, this fake person who was kind of like a leaf in the wind. Like whatever would happen. And now I feel like much more of a rock, much more of a mountain. Like this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. Who wants to come along for the adventure? And it's allowed the right relationships to take place.
One of the things that I tell the guys that I've worked with in the past is, passion, your passion, not pickup lines, is what makes you attractive to not just to women, but to other people. Because, I truly believe that the majority of guys that I know, like they're in this career that's not a good fit for them. Like maybe they just pursued it for the money, like, engineering, accounting, stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with those careers. But if it's not the one for you, because you are made to do something, you're made to excel in a specific area, right?
Right.
And if you're it's kind of like if you're a fish that's meant to be in salt water and you're in like lake water, you're gonna die or something. You're just not a good fit for that environment. So so walk me through this, because I know a lot of guys that I know, they get their sense of validation from external things like money, car, clothes, and stuff like that, right? So like when you were starting out Knowledge for Men, even though in the beginning you didn't have a lot of money, talk to me about why your passion gave you a lot of internal confidence and why that's important.
Absolutely. What's interesting is like a lot of the friends I have now were friends I met when I was broke. But the reason why I'm still friends with them now is like they saw the drive, they saw the passion, they saw how excited I was for life. I was probably bringing more excitement into their life, and we're still friends today. But yeah, the money hasn't really changed like my relationships with people, but literally in the beginning, like I probably was having more fun in the struggle than where I'm at now, where I'm like I was telling you earlier, I have to like hire people. I kind of look a little tired because I'm like working really hard now. But in the beginning, it wasn't like no one cared that I was broke. No one cared that I was struggling. What they cared about was like, dude, he's going somewhere. Like this guy's moving. Like he's in a direction. And I think not only just the fact that I, was making friends and relationships with these people, but the fact that like it's very masculine to just have a direction, to know where I'm going, and you don't have to know every step of the way. Like you don't have to know what every page in the book is going to say, but you just got to know what that page is going to say right in front of you, and then you're going to turn it and you're going to figure it out as you go. But I find that what is most exciting and what people want to be around is people who are alive. I do men's events and I'll bring women in and we'll do all these games. And one of the most common things that I'll hear from women is they just want, like, they don't care that you have, a house and you've paid off your mortgage and you drive a BMW and you have a nice condo with a view. Those are all good things. Don't get me wrong. If you have them, it's not like those are bad things. Those aren't necessarily going to like detract women, but it's not going to be the one all be all. Like what women want to be around is a guy who comes alive, a guy who is full of life, a guy who isn't dead inside. And I find that if you spend 8 to 10 hours a day doing something that you don't like, and the other 8 hours you're sleeping, so 16 hours, that means you only have 8 hours left in your day, really, but you're probably doing basic things around your house and traveling and commuting. You really don't have that much time else in the day. So if you're spending 8 to 10 hours doing something that you're not passionate about, that takes energy from you, that drains you. Like my previous job drained me, meaning after work, I couldn't do anything else. I was so tired mentally and physically. So when you're being drained all day, it's going to be tough to go out and meet people because the energy that you're giving off is like this detractant. It's like a repellent. It's like you're a walking ant spray. Like you're just spraying everyone with negative energy, and no one wants to be around that.
Yeah.
Like not including men, including women, and including in some cases family. Like if everyone has that that uncle that's super negative, and it's like, man, oh gosh, here he comes. And that's who some people are in their everyday life, and they're wondering why they're struggling socially, they're struggling with women, and maybe they're struggling not with meeting women, because you could learn game, you can learn seduction, that's a learned skill where you can meet women, but can you actually keep the women? Because some women will enter it and then she'll be like, dang, this guy's really cool, he's doing everything right, and then once she gets a look at what your life is like, then she might feel like, oh wow, this isn't someone I want to be with in the long term. Maybe this is great for a couple months to hook up and have fun, whatever, have some dates. But in the long run, like if it's draining to be with you, then she's gonna leave, because why would she stay with you? Especially if she's highly attractive. She has options, and it is her job to pick the best option, which makes most sense.
Totally, for sure. And I know exactly the type of guy you're talking about. And I've met those people, and after one or two times of meeting them, you kind of have like a look out. You're like, oh my God, he's coming close. I better put my headphones on and pretend I'm busy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I love the fact that you said that it's true. Like if you're doing something that drains you, it's going to be very hard to project that attractive, like high energy version of yourself when you're socializing, whether during happy hour or at a networking event, because you're drained. You've got nothing interesting to talk about because you're
Right.
not doing anything interesting, right?
Right, absolutely. You can see the tinkle in a guy's eye when he talks about something that he's really jazzed about. And it doesn't matter about money. Like people are like thinking, like does that mean I have to be this entrepreneur? Like I have friends that are playing like little rock shows with just like 40, 50 people, and like they're so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, we got the show. Are you coming? Like I need you to be there. And like they're just so excited when they're on stage. They're like rocking out to just like 40, 50 people. They're not making millions. They're only probably making like $300, but they're having an epic time doing it. And I'm not telling anyone to join a rock band, but at least that man, my friend, is exercising his passion and it's bringing him to life. And when I see him, I have, instantly I'm like, dude, like how was the show? How did it go? And he's like, oh, we killed it. Like, and there's just a lot of excitement that comes off from him. And of course he's doing well with women. He is the party because he's bringing men and women together.
Debunk this myth for me, Andrew, that I'm sure you and I have been fed this lie that like if you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good job. At least that's what I got from my Asian family. That's the mentality that they gave me when I was younger. If you go to school, you get a good job, you make a lot of money, then it's easy to make friends, women will come, and everything else will be taken care of. Debunk that myth for me.
Yeah, I think that like especially like I'm half Asian, and I understand that whole Asian kind of growing up, but it just in general, I think just every family would love their children to grow up and be successful. However, I think their version of successful is much different. I think our family's generations, especially much older, especially in like more grandparents, they grew up in an age where like they were really suffering with wars and people dying and just uncertain economies, and like the world has changed significantly, I believe, where like just having a base standard of living like 50 years ago would have been amazing. But today, like we're all like capable of actually pursuing that fruit. We have more freedom, I believe, today than 50, 100 years ago. And so we can now pursue things that actually light us up. So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our parents and our grandparents really just wanted to accomplish the bottom two layers of needs, which is having food, having a partner, having just a decent income, and that was actually happiness. But I believe because those things are quite easy to attain these days, just the basic minimum, that we're all now like pursuing that higher level of happiness, which is the pursuit of what we truly want to do and being around the right people that we want to be around, and really going after what we want. And that's a higher level of thinking, because if you go to a third world country, I mean, this conversation is pointless. Or not a third world country, but if you go to like, I don't want to, like Bangladesh or something, like they don't care about this conversation. They care about where's that next meal. But I'm talking here in San Diego. I mean, no one here in Pacific Beach is like worried about their next meal. They're worried about like, okay, is this the right work I'm doing? Is this what I should be doing? So I think our parents and our grandparents' idea of happiness has just shifted a bit. And not to say that they're wrong, but I just think we need to really live in the time that we live in, where we have been more free than ever. There was an interview with Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, and they asked him like, "Hey, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?" And he said, "I would remind him that in the last 50 years, you are the most free individual in the world." like in all of history, you are the most free like human like generation that has ever existed. And you have all of the opportunity. You have access to the internet. You have access to education. You can travel anywhere. Like you could travel anywhere. Like that's just amazing. And the education, like we just live in an age where we're free, and to be able to do what you want to do is absolutely within reach. And there are people who really want to help you get there. And so I think having that freedom, a lot of people are scared of that freedom. And they're kind of like, oh, like I'd rather just like kind of chill. But to exercise that freedom, I believe, is where true happiness is found. And so obviously, like the myth is very like debunked. Like obviously I try to debunk it through the Maslow's hierarchy, that they have a different view of happiness. And I believe because we're so free and there's so much opportunity, and they might not see the possibility of what we could create in 2016, 2017 and beyond.
Totally. So for everyone tuned in, and like this message is really like hitting home with them, and God forbid please don't quit your job, just not just yet, right? So
yeah, don't quit your job just yet. Like create a plan, create a plan of action. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're Andrew and I are not telling you to quit your job, just so you know. So for everyone who's tuned in, and this message of like being in alignment with your passion is really hitting home with them. Can you give some actionable like tips and advice that people can start implementing as soon as they finish this call?
Absolutely. I think when we think about like finding our purpose or something that we really want to do, we often immediately, I believe, are clouded by what society says we should do. And so immediately, like, we kind of think of these goals that really we don't truly want or actually care about. And you can get caught in climbing up a ladder that's leaned up against the wrong wall. And that's actually, not the best thing, is you spend 10, 20 years going after this thing, and you get to the top and you're like, damn, that was a waste, because we only have these years, these warrior years for so long, when we're between, I'm assuming that your audience is in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and maybe in their 50s or so. But once you're, when you're too young, you're too young. When you're too old, you're too old. And so we want to make sure that we're doing something that truly matters to us, and that is in alignment with like who we really are. So first things first is like, you got to separate yourself from, like, get out of your town, get out of your community for an exercise. And I'm not saying move away. I'm just saying give yourself some peace. I think so much we get caught up in our day-to-day life, and like we view the world and just what's around us. And I advise to go out into nature, go to like some whatever big park or place that you can go into nature. And I really mean that. I really do mean that. I don't mean, all right, like get to the good stuff, Andrew. I mean, that is like where you can really just get in touch with yourself and have a higher level of self-awareness around what really matters to you. Because I want you not thinking about society. I want you not thinking about your parents. I want you not thinking about your girlfriend or your wife. Even though these are all people you love, you can still love them. But I bet you they want to see you come to life more than anything. Not thinking about your friends, not thinking about college professors. And really just ask yourself, like, bring a journal, bring a pen, bring a glass of water, whatever. And ask yourself, like, what do I really want as a man? I think that question alone, if you ask that just monthly, you could really get yourself on track. What is it that you really want? Because I bet you what you're doing right now is likely not in alignment to what you actually want. What is it that you really want as a man? And really sit down and wrestle with that. It's not a simple question. It's a deep emotional question that you're going to sit and just write it and stare at that for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Then ask yourself, like, I want you to remove some societal thinking, such as, like, if money was no object, what would I do? Like, because that's very societal, because immediately we think money and then we relate, like, no, I wouldn't do that. It doesn't pay. All right. I was 24 coaching men. Like, how the hell, like, how was that supposed to happen? I'm not a radio guy. I've never done anything with audio. I have a podcast with millions of downloads. I never thought about money, but I've been able to make it happen. And so have so many other people. So if money was no object, what would I do? You should be writing these questions down. You don't have to answer them right now, but you should absolutely be writing these questions down and on a piece of paper, and give yourself a page for each question and sit down and wrestle, like go to war with the question. What would you do? This is the third one. Like, what would you do if you knew you would not fail? That right there has the power to really give you what it is. Like, what would I do? And instantly we have a gut reaction to that question. We kind of know. And then instantly after that, we start thinking about how that's stupid. That's too big. That's too audacious. And screw that. Like, write it down. Like, what would you do if you knew you would not fail? What would you like to do? And you, I don't know. I don't want to say like you can do anything, but like you can do things that you never thought possible. Like you can do things that could absolutely blow your mind. Okay. What conversations do you like that really light you up? That's the next question. Like on the next page, like what are conversations? Like you could be at a social event and you're just like, yeah, whatever, really, whatever. And someone asks a question or starts a conversation, and immediately you're like, boom, I'm in, and you come alive. Like you just have endless amounts of information to talk. Like you can talk forever about the topic. Okay. You try talking to me about something like I'm not paying attention to basketball right now. Like I have nothing to say. I used to, or even football. Like I'm not in that. I don't talk about it anymore. Nothing bad against those things, but you come in and you want to talk about like growing your online business. You want to talk about dating. You want to talk about like being a stronger man. You want to talk about purpose, or even this conversation here. I can talk for a long time, and it's obviously a sign that this is something that you should lean towards, because it's clear your body, your mind is telling you like go, and you got to be aware of those things. Another thing you could do is like thinking about problems that make you angry. Like think about problems around you that really make you upset, that really make you angry. Problems that I used to see, which was like simple ones, like, or common ones that I think you and we all can relate with, which is dating. Like that's a huge problem that I saw, where I see whether they're good looking, rich, or they're broke and not so good looking, all men struggling with dating. Like that's what all men need to understand, is like all men struggle with dating at some point, or the majority of men, let me say. Okay, and that was a problem that made me angry, and I wrote a book, and it's done quite well. Another problem that I saw was that there wasn't good information for men after a breakup, and that was why I wrote a book about breakups, because I was like reading books, and it was like, light some candles and go into the go into the spa, and I'm like, no, like that might work for women, but that's not going to work for me, and I wanted to create like a more masculine approach to overcoming a breakup. So those are some examples, and I pursued them relentlessly and wrote books, and those books have impacted thousands of lives. Here's the final one. Like this one's really got to own, like it's very emotional. People don't like talking about this, but if you were to die in 1 year, like what would you do, and how would you want to be remembered?
Damn.
And really get real with that, because the truth is you and I and all of us know people who have died. I've known people very close to me who've passed away, especially in the last year and a half, and it's an extremely real topic. I think death is something that we hide or pretend like it doesn't exist. We quickly bury, and then it's just over, and we kind of just clean up, and then we it's over, it's done. We take out the trash. And to really understand, like, look, death is very real, and it's the only thing that everyone here watching this, and you and I here, Myke, have that's all in common. I know that all of us here are gonna die, and I can say that with absolute certainty, and that's the absolute worst thing that could happen. But it's the only thing that we all have in common as humans, and so to embrace that and to own that really makes every problem insignificant in your life, and allows you to feel more like shit, like a higher sense of urgency around what you wrote in this exercise.
One last thing that I wanna ask you before we end this call is a lot of the guys who are watching this, like they may get pumped up and they're like, oh, I'm so motivated to do something, but they're scared of failure. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good. You should fail. I should say you will fail. I will tell you right now. How do I look at you in the eye? Whoever's watching, is it right here? Okay, this one. Okay, you will fail. Absolutely, you will fail a lot, and you will experience pain. You will experience suffering. What kind of coach tells you this? I'm telling you the truth. You will fail. You're gonna try stuff. You will fail, but you will also succeed if you stay the course. And what is so bad about failure? Like, I'd rather go down and die knowing that I tried and I gave it my all, rather than living a life of regret. It's kind of like that saying, like, I'd rather die standing up fighting than die on my knees living a long life. And you will fail. It will happen. But on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that failure, is your success. And so the only way to reach that and to really grow is to pursue that. And I believe that it is masculine to pursue risk. Like the man who is afraid of risk is afraid of life. And a man, it is a masculine thing to be like the quote unquote the wild man archetype, to go out and pursue adventure, to conquer, and not to like pillage and do bad things, but to conquer your goal, to go on this quest. That is the hero's journey. It is masculine. Man can only come alive. This is according to a Indian philosopher Osho. Man can only come alive in danger. Through danger, men can come alive. And that's why you see a lot of these kind of like, I'm not saying this is what you should do, but kind of like more risky type of men, like Daredevil or extreme action sports guys, or maybe UFC fighters, typically have women around them, because it's very attractive, because the man he's living in risk, he's living in danger. And I'm not telling you to become a UFC fighter, become Evel Knievel. I'm just saying pursue a little bit more risk in your life. Like think like it doesn't need to be every day, but I'd be like, once a month, did I do something bold? Did I do something a little bit like that was out of the norm? Because if your answer is no for too many months in a row, I bet you you're bored. I bet you you're like your life is a little dull. I bet you could have a little bit of depression or onset of depression. The more risk you take, the more alive you'll come. So try new things. Go out there. Take a look at the paper. If you haven't actually done the questions, then you need to do the exercise. Go out into nature. And this exercise isn't like a 15-minute thing. Like this is a full day. Like you're giving yourself like a men's reboot retreat. And honestly, I've been to enough seminars and events where a lot of the questions I've asked is like what you would get if you paid thousands of dollars. Like literally, like go give it to yourself. If you can bring someone that you really enjoy being with, or that is in alignment to like, yeah, I want to learn more about myself. It'd be great if you went together and did this separately and then came together and then discussed. Through discussion, you can do some powerful things.
Love it. Actually, I have one more question.
Okay.
just came to mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know hold people back from pursuing their passion is they don't want to look bad. Like because they've been so spoiled by a lot of guys that I know stay in their jobs even though they hate it because of the monetary gain, right? Like it's giving them like the opportunity to drive these like nice cars and buying nice clothes and eating out and going out and doing all these things. So now they don't want to risk like looking bad or having to be uncomfortable a little bit to pursue something different. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that a couple things with the nice things that people are buying. I think that's great, but I mean, like when that time comes when you die, you can't bring any of those things with you. Like understanding that, and then the people that like you will impact, the people when you come alive, like those are the people that will show up and be there for you. I'm not talking about only your funeral. I'm talking about like in life. No one cares about your shit except you. And I think the moment we can let go of that, not to say that like I don't like money, I don't like to drive a nice car or anything, but those are just like secondary like they're just so secondary to like what I'm really doing, the primary mission. So I don't think like people will actually judge you in the way that you think they're going to judge you. I think when you come alive, they are going to actually, instead of liking you, love you, because you're going to attract the right people into your life and you'll detract the people who only liked you for your money, which is what you don't want anyways. You don't want you don't want to be surrounded with people who like you for the external things you have. You want to be surrounded by people who love you for the internal like core values that you live by and that you give off to others. So you don't like that question, man. I know it's a big one, and I know we're all human and we care about what other people think, but I think the best way to make the impact that you want to make is likely you're going to have to look dumb in front of people, but if they think it's dumb, they're not even meant to be in your life. Like people who truly support you, like they're going to show up and they're going to love you a lot more.
I love that. Because I went through the same thing. Like I did, I looked stupid. I used to make a lot of money as an engineer, dude. Like I had to go through exactly what you said, like look stupid in front of my parents, look stupid in front of my friends. I remember this one time when I quit my job trying to start a business. I had to work at a restaurant. And I remember this moment where I was serving my former coworkers and like,
oh shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I'm like, do I go out and greet them? But you know what's funny, Andrew, is they, cause they knew that I quit my job and I was pursuing my passion, they were actually envious of me because,
Wow.
yeah, because they're like, okay, yeah, we still have a job and we're making money, but we feel trapped. Like here you are, you're free to do whatever you want. And I'm like, wow, like what a mind shift. I never thought that, you guys would look at me that way when I thought my situation was embarrassing.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Or,
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. But in the end, it's like, don't look at where you're at right now. It's like over the course of the next 5 years, like you're gonna be living life, loving what you do, doing what you want to do. And I'm not to say anything bad about them, like, oh, and they're gonna be here, but likely, they'll be in a similar position. It's like who's growing the most, who's actually out there in the arena, the Theodore Roosevelt quote, or versus being a spectator. And I think for all the men listening, we all strive and want to be in the arena. And that's why we love the Olympics. That's why we love football and basketball and sports, because we're watching people in the arena give it their all. And the more that we can get more people to be in the arena and give it their all at whatever it is that they want to do, I think the more alive we'll all become. And what else would you want to do? Like, do you want to be like sleeping zombie mode the rest of your life? Or do you want to be alive in the arena, failing, bloody, sweating, tired, struggling, but in the end, achieving that victory that you want to achieve?
Oh, dude, I love that. Dude, like this has been awesome, man. So for everyone who wants to find out more about you and get to know you more, what's the best way for them to do that?
knowledgeformen.com, or you can go to kfmconfidence.com and you can get some free videos that I offer on being a stronger, grounded man. But knowledgeformen.com is just like the central resource where you can find everything I have.
I love it, dude. Like, okay, and one last thing, if you guys, for everyone tuned into this, if you guys aren't listening to Andrew's podcast, you're missing out on a lot of like, I just can't believe like some of the stuff you give away is free. I just can't believe it. Like, Andrew's one of the most generous guys I know, and you should definitely check him out.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Take care.